we need to talk about writing the personal statement, which is an essay, usually between 500 to 800 words, that discuss your past qualifications and where your interests stem from, as well as what you're doing right now and what makes it the right time and place for you to be applying to a U.S. graduate school. Finally, you'll talk about your details and your plans for the future and how you plan to use that degree to move forward with your plans. It's important that this essay is clear, concise, specific, and persuasive. So, in order to write one, you'll start by taking a look at your CV and thinking about what separates you from other applicants. What makes your profile interesting? What tells your story on your resume? And then brainstorm examples of how you've demonstrated your interest and expertise in the field. Think about a story that would be relevant to someone else who would be reading your essay. And think about how the program fits in with your future plans. Research the program's websites, and then allow ample time to draft an essay that combines all of this information together and allow for people to read it, because often we get so involved in writing these essays ourselves that we often tend to miss small grammar mistakes that we've included, or we don't think about the different perspective that we haven't addressed or included in our essays. And so it's really important that you write multiple drafts and have them edited by your friends or professors or colleagues. So I've included an example answer here of what a personal statement could look like. So in Belgium, we all know that Belgian beer is quite popular. So a common introduction could be, when I was 17 years old, my father took me to a Belgian brewery for the first time. Since then, I've been conducting my own brewing experiments and selling products to local shops. So it tells where my interest in my potential U.S. graduate program is stemming from. I found my interest when I was doing this activity. It's a story, it involves my father, and I'm sharing a bit of my personal life with the selection committee. Later on in the essay, I'm going to go on to explain that I have the passion for the brewing that I've been doing, but I want to understand the mechanics, the science aspects of the brewing a little bit more and learn how to scale the demand for my product. So I'm telling what I already know, where my passion stems from, but why I would really benefit in the here and now from getting extra information about what I'm wanting to learn. XYZ School dual MS MBA program will enable me to achieve this, and as a result, I'll be able to spread my good beer throughout Belgium and introduce others to the joy of locally made beer that my father introduced me to as well. So let's talk about some of the things I did well in that essay. I did keep in mind the purpose of the statement, which is I'm applying to a graduate program, a dual MS MBA program that I want more technical knowledge from about scaling demand for a very technical scientific product. I didn't include a lot of extraneous material, so I didn't go off and talk about a lot of details about the time my father took me to the brewery when I was 17 years old. I only included 1 or 2 sentences about that. I was very brief. I drew conclusions about the value of my experiences instead of elaborating on the experiences themselves. And that's where a lot of international students get hung up when they're writing their essays. They will talk a lot about experiences that influence them, but they won't really talk about why they influence them. They'll just recount the story. And so it's really important that you draw conclusions and not focus on the details. You should tell a story and find an angle. For that example essay, the angle was how my father inspired my passion. I mentioned him in my introduction. I also mentioned him in my conclusion. And it's really important that you concentrate on your opening paragraph, but also follow up with that story when you conclude. Use clear examples whenever possible, and don't forget to brag. Some things you shouldn't do are mention your grades or test scores, or repeat information that the selection committee can find elsewhere in your application. Usually, graduate selection committees are reading a lot of applications for a very limited number of positions to the school. And so it's really important that you're concise and clear in your application. That you use the essay to really talk about what can't be seen in other parts of the application. Don't be too casual or use contractions, and focus on your reaction to challenges, not the challenges themselves. Try to avoid controversial issues if you can, such as politics or religion. And don't be repetitive or contradictory, or tell the reader what is important in your field. So a lot of essays that I'll read for graduate admissions will talk about why what the person wants to study is important. But of course, the people who are working at these admissions offices will already know the popular and important topics within the field. So it's really important that you don't use the space on telling them why the topic you want to study is important, but why your involvement with that topic is important and how you plan to make advancements in the field. So this is an exercise that we usually share with our advisees. I'm not going to go over it, but these are just a few tips that you can share with someone when you're asking them to help review the drafts of your personal statement.